We're up and running. We've got a point after the first game, and with Belarus on Monday, we could have 4 points after the first two games. I didn't see that coming, and there's plenty to get talking about, so let's get stuck in. This is the No Scotland No Party podcast, supported by Ball Bags, official boxers of men's national team. And if you'd like to get your hands on a £20 Ball Bags voucher, all you need to do is engage in our socials, and we'll be giving away a voucher after the Belarus game. Let's go.
We know we ain't no football experts, but we all feel the same about the beautiful game. The game. No Scotland, no party for the Tartan Army.
Okay, we're back. We don't have a full house today. Hazel's not with us. She said she's meeting some Swedish friends in Denmark, but I'm not sure about that. I just think she didn't fancy admitting that Hanley had a good game. But we're joined as usual with Craig Ferguson. How you doing, Craig?
Very well, thank you, very well. A little bit worse for wear. I went out for a few drinks in Glasgow last night, but I've got myself down to the gym to try and shake the hangover, so feeling a bit better now.
Good on you. And Dave, how are you getting on? I know you're over there, Dave. What were the Tartan Army saying about the result last night, and what was Copenhagen like?
Yeah, Copenhagen's been great. I mean, in terms of the result, right? So before the game, I think most people were like us and, didn't really know what to expect, but were more pessimistic rather than optimistic, right? Based on both our recent, the two recent home losses to Greece and Iceland, which obviously we were all really disappointed about, and just the fact that everybody realised that Denmark are a good team. Right. Yeah. And, they're ranked so much higher than us in the world. What is it, 21 compared to 47 with the FIFA rankings. So they were, ranked well ahead of us. So people were generally pessimistic beforehand. People became more pessimistic when they saw the team, right? When they saw Clark's team. And that was really based on Hanley being included and also the fact that Doak wasn't in. Right. So then you can have a discussion about who do they think should drop out for Doak. But really all of us, including the three of us, right, had all been saying we were hoping Doak would be in the team. So people were a bit pessimistic. Therefore, right, after the game last night, it's a wee bit of an exaggeration, but only a wee bit to say we were celebrating a great 0-0 win, right? Because, we were all really pleased, right? I mean, obviously. And we were kind of celebrating at the end. And, the atmosphere on the ground towards the end when we thought we were going to get, at least a draw, we might even sneak it. People were getting more and more optimistic, happier and happier, etc. It was a fantastic atmosphere. So, I think everybody's had a great time. There was probably 2,500. I've heard up to 3,000, but let's say 2,500, 2,600, 2,700, something like that. There were 1,700 official tickets. But you saw there were plenty of Scots in different parts of the home end.
For sure.
And there were quite a few who didn't get to the game as well, I think. So, so you put it all together, there's been a lot of Scots here. It's been a fantastic atmosphere. The last thing I'd say is Danes are absolutely brilliant hosts. It's a fantastic place to come. The Danes are so friendly. Danes love Scotland. Lots of them been saying how they've travelled around the Highlands and all that type of thing, and they've been here and they've tried this whiskey and that whiskey and then another 7 whiskies and all that type of thing, right? They've just been fantastic hosts, and the bars are great and the food's nice and it's all worked really well. And the public transport works. You walk out of the ground and you get on a bus and you don't need to wait. And then you have to get another bus, and that takes another 5 minutes, and you're in the pub like 20 minutes after leaving the ground.
Brilliant.
So there you go.
I like how that's one of the most important things about the game.
That was one of the key points, Craig.
Right, Craig, what did you think about it?
Absolutely. Mate, it was really, really good. Obviously, like I said, sort of in my wee intro there, I ended up not managing, obviously, to get out to Copenhagen. Went out in Glasgow last night with a couple of friends, but I think that obviously as the beer starts talking, you start getting a bit more up for it. And I was very similar to what you said, Dave. I was starting to maybe at the start of the day feel a little bit more optimistic, and then seeing the team, and I wouldn't say that I was necessarily completely down and out about it. I was just more confused. I was taken aback, like you say, on this Doak not starting especially. I thought that was the one for me. Hanley obviously starting. A lot of people had their things to say about that. That one didn't surprise me as much as seeing the likes of Doak not getting the start. But obviously, as we'll get into it, it seemed to have worked. So yeah, it was definitely another one to add to the 0-0 wins collection for Scotland.
Exactly.
Okay, if anyone's watching us on YouTube, you might have noticed that Craig's just changed position. We just lost him there for a second, but we're all back. So, Dave, what were the Tartan Army saying about the Dykes miss last night?
I mean, just we were disappointed, right?
Yeah,
Because I think everybody thought, even as the ball came across from Adams, people thought he needed to hit it first time.
yeah,
And as soon as he took a touch, you felt this is not going to work. And once he'd take the second touch, that was it.
yeah,
You know. Um, so we were just disappointed. I think everybody recognizes that if it had been the other way around and it had come across to Adams, he probably would have hit it first time. And he might not have scored, but there's a good chance he would have done.
yeah,
Yeah.
Clearly that was the biggest chance,
He did
right?
say in his after match interview that he didn't know the defender was there. And
Yeah.
he
Right.
thought he had time for a touch. But I didn't have any lunch today, guys, because I'm here to eat a lot of humble pie tonight. And I honestly thought Dykes was phenomenal
Yeah.
last night. I thought
Yeah.
he just ran and ran and ran and caused him so much trouble. The amount of times he was back in midfield, mixing it up, defending. I
Yeah.
thought he was just superb. That was
Yeah.
the only blip against his performance last night.
Yeah.
But yeah, and to think of all the negativity I've been sending his way over the last few weeks,
I know.
but thought he was great last night. Everyone was great last night, weren't they?
Yeah,
Really?
I think that's one thing that I was going to say. Like, obviously, we are happy to eat the humble pie whenever it comes, and it obviously, especially when it's in Scotland's favour. And I think with players like obviously Dykes, like you say, a phenomenal game last night. Hanley as well, of course, the full back four I thought were exceptional, and like you say, there wasn't really anyone in particular that stands out to me that said that you can say didn't really give 100%. So no, it's really, really good to see. But I'll happily eat the humble pie on this one, like I say, especially when it's in the favour of Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I was saying in our chat earlier on, the one that I was so pleased about was Robo last night.
Yeah.
I've been looking at him last season, especially the end of last season, and this season not getting a game. And I thought I was seeing the end of a great player, but last night he was back to his best last night. He was a
100%.
nightmare for them. He really was.
Yeah, I think that it was probably we spoke a little bit about it in the pre-match, speaking about how some players maybe felt like they had something to prove, etc. And I think that Robbo was definitely one of them for himself. We weren't really sure how he would take it. Obviously, like we said, he's probably not been performing to his best of ability for Scotland and Liverpool as well for quite a while. But like you said, it was so great to see him back to his best last night. It was an exceptional performance, I thought.
Well, but I think that's a good point, Craig. And you're right. We did say that we thought that Robbo and one or two others,
Yeah.
might really put an enormous effort in last night. We said this 2 or 3 days ago
Yep.
because they had a point to prove. And
For
actually,
sure.
when you think about it, basically the whole of the team, right, with the exception obviously McTominay, and I suppose maybe Suter because he's playing regularly for his club and everything. But otherwise, almost the whole of the team, if you go through them one by one, they had a point to prove.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because Dykes, who just mentioned, Adams is in and out of the team.
Yeah.
Ferguson's been been in and out as well. Christie's just back from injury, etc. And then you go back, Hickey's just back from injury. Hanley's
Yeah.
definitely got a point to prove. Gunn had
Yeah,
a
for
point
sure.
to prove. So honestly, you
Definitely.
go through the team. I hadn't really thought about it quite like that, but honestly, you go through the team and they all did. And
Yeah.
maybe that's where we got such a battling performance last night, because that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did try hard. They blocked all the time.
Yeah.
They worked like crazy. And it was, it's what we needed.
Yeah, I think one player that you mentioned there who definitely deserves a shout out for his sort of return was Hickey. I thought was absolutely brilliant. I thought that again another one that we weren't maybe sure. There was speculation around us whether he was going to start or not. Some of us, I think, did predict that he would get that start and obviously come off quite early, which ended up happening. But I thought he was phenomenal when he was on the pitch. He really was.
Hickey was great. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
brilliant. I mean, the only thing was the stupid yellow card.
Yeah.
Right. Unless I missed something, which I could have done because it was quite a long way away from us.
Yeah, of
But
course.
to me, he just kicked the ball away.
Yeah.
Right. And he got a yellow card. And that's stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
for any player, especially for a defender, who then has got to be so careful about the future challenges they can make.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely agree. I think, well, we're speaking about yellow cards. I think another talking point for the game is, of course, the possible red card. What did you make of that one, boys? Craig, what did you think?
There's just no way that was a red card for me. He looked to me as if he positioned himself underneath the ball. He got a slight push, which means he moved. He couldn't get his head to it, but he did slightly get his head to it as well, and then it came off his arm. I just don't think you can give that. But as soon as the ref was sent over to the box, I thought, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, I was the exact same. I thought it's so rare. It's so rare now that you see the ref going over to the VAR
Yeah.
monitor and then giving it the opposite way. And I was just so relieved and also glad that he did obviously stick with the yellow. And it was never a red card for me. Never in a million years. I don't think either.
No,
So I'm
that's right. I
glad.
mean, we were worried in the ground because we were at the other end of the ground, so we couldn't see properly.
Yeah,
So we were worried that it was going to be a red, and we were actually saying to each other that one of the reasons why Hickey was taken off, not the only reason, right? Because he was obviously tiring, and I think
yeah,
we expect him to do more than about 70 minutes. But one of the reasons I honestly think was that he was on a yellow card, and
yeah,
he just committed another foul that was not a yellow card, but you do one or two more, and then you could be in trouble, right? He'd
yeah.
done that just in front of us. And we were Russell and I, our friend Mark Russell and I were saying to each other, it's going to be ironic here. We take him off to avoid a second yellow, and Max Johnson comes on, and we're not sure if he's touched the ball yet, other than to get a red.
No, I know. It would have been funny, wouldn't it? And funny in
It
a
was,
horrible way.
yeah, exactly.
But I think when Johnson came on, it was so nice for Scottish subs to come on because the guys were tired, not because they were underperforming. And I
Yeah,
thought all the guys that come on did really well. And I think looking at that bench now, I think we've got a really, really good squad. I know I was really
yeah,
negative about it the other night, but if we're going to be playing at that every game, what a
yeah.
squad we've got there.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time. Obviously, again, we'll probably speak a little bit about it. The actual lineup itself, as we sort of said, a lot of people were maybe a bit confused when the lineup came out, certain players missing. But I think that it was one of the first times in a long old while for myself that was super. The only positive you could say, I think, going into the match was at least the bench then looked, really, really strong. And
Yeah.
I thought the idea of having Doak coming off the bench, for example,
Yeah.
is a great option to have. So I think that was one positive that you could say from it was, if we managed to still be in the game, which we obviously were, those substitutes were exciting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Yeah, I
good.
agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I think the thing we have to say, right, is obviously we're all really pleased because we got a draw last night against the highest ranked team in the group.
Yeah.
Right, you can debate whether Greece are actually stronger, but that's another thing. We got a draw away from home against the highest ranked team in the group. That's a good start,
Yeah.
best than what we expected. Having said that, I mean, I said in the last podcast that the thing for me is just we're very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Right, and we have the great results away to Greece. We had the good results last autumn, like winning in Poland and all the rest. And then we go and lose 3-0 at home to Greece, and then we lose whatever it was 3-1 to Iceland,
Yeah.
etc. Right? We're just very inconsistent. So this one, the question for me now is this just going to be another one of the inconsistencies? And within a wee while, whether it's after Monday or whether it's after the October games, we're going to be saying, it was a false dawn and we're just so inconsistent, etc. Or is this actually the squad getting together and showing that they really do have lots of points to prove, that Clark's got an idea now of being more flexible in the
Yeah.
way that he puts out different teams and so on. I mean, different formations. He went to
Mhm.
4-4-2 last night,
Mhm.
basically. And I don't know how we tell that really.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, whether it is just going to be a great turning point, or is it more inconsistency?
Yeah.
can we talk about the formation again? Again, I'm more humble pie on my behalf here that at the Liechtenstein game when he played the 4-4-2, I was very critical, and I said, why is he playing a 4-4-2? Because he's not going to do that in qualification. Well, he only
Yeah.
does it in the next match. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if he even knew back then that that's what he was planning to do with this match. But it didn't even come into my mind he would play a 4-4-2 last night.
No, not at all. Not at all. I didn't think so either. But if it is, you've got to say it's excellent forward planning. And obviously, yeah, the 4-4-2 it definitely seemed to work. And I don't know if that's maybe the plan going forward, and going into other games, or like you say, whether it was a specific tactic implemented for this game, to combat the Danish. So I'm not too sure going forward. What do you maybe think of that? Do you reckon that's his long-term plan, or
No.
no?
Not really, but I don't know, right? But I don't think so. I think he had the idea for last night that he'd do that.
Yeah.
Maybe he trialed it in Liechtenstein, Craig.
Yeah.
You may well be right. But I wouldn't be surprised to see us going back to 4-2-3-1 or whatever you want to call it soon. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that the weakness of the 4-4-2 is that, to me anyway, is that McTominay, who I'd say is our most likely goal scorer, is further back.
Yeah.
Right, if you do 4-2-3-1, McTominay's in the middle of the three, and he's the next furthest forward after Adams or Dykes or whoever it is. Right, in 4-4-2, by definition, McTominay's got to be one of the centre of the two of the four, and is a bit further back. So he didn't get into as many threatening positions as we've seen when it was 4-2-3-1. So, it's a wee bit swings and roundabouts. But having said that, obviously it worked last night. It worked really well.
Well, we've started talking about formations and going forward. If what do you think he will play on Monday night, Dave? What do you think? Hit me with it.
Honestly, I thought that he would just do the same thing again. But I just read in I think it was one of the BBC reports saying that Clark was hinting at changes for Monday.
Okay.
Right, which you may have, because I've not followed much of the media, honestly. I was out late last night, and then got up late this morning, and then have been out doing some stuff in Copenhagen, just come back to the hotel to do this. Right, I've honestly not read a lot, okay, of the post match analysis, whatever. But I read that Clark was hinting at changes. I mean, honestly, they did so well last night. I feel like, I know it's obviously a very different game. Belarus are much weaker, right? And there's going to be no fans, no atmosphere, etc. But I'd kind of I would have expected him to stick with the same. But if he's hinting at changes, then I guess it's, maybe it is back to 4-2-3-1.
Well, it could be changes in personnel rather than changes in information.
I agree. Yeah,
I mean, I think if it was me, I loved what I saw last night. I think I would probably stick with it. The only change I'd maybe make would be Doak for Christie.
Yeah.
I thought Doak was a real handful when he came on. Christie, out of all the, he had a good game last night, but for all the players, he was probably the weaker, although he still had a good game.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a change I'd be thinking about. What do you reckon, Craig?
Yeah, I think so too. Look, I think that you're probably correct there when you're saying if he is hinting at making changes, I do think that it would probably be more personnel rather than the system in general. I think I'm similar. I liked what I've seen, and I think Clark will be the exact same. I also think it's a very Clark thing to do with, if he has seen this go very well, as he's done, to kind of run with it and to go for that again. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 4-4-2 making another appearance on Monday night. And yeah, like you said, hopefully, a weaker opponent on paper, definitely. Hopefully it's that way in the actual game itself. But I think we can expect the 4-4-2 again.
Yeah.
Well, look, I had a look earlier on at the Belarus team, and I thought, I wonder what they'll play. I wonder what they played against Greece. I wonder what they'll do. They've actually, their manager seems to be a bit of a character.
Okay.
In the last 8 matches, they've played 6 different formations. Listen to this. A 5-3-2. Then he played a 3-4-2-1 2 games in a row. Then he went to 4-1-3-2. Didn't like it. 3-4-3. Went to a 4-3-1-2. I'm beginning to sound like Barry Ferguson. He went back to a 3-4-3, and last night he played a 4-2-3-1. I think the only thing we can be sure of is he's not going to play the 4-2-3-1 tomorrow night.
It's honestly,
yeah. But, do you know, one thing that does worry me about them is this will be I think it's the 13th game that they'll have played behind closed doors now.
Right.
And you'd think that's something they'll be getting used to. I think it's the 3rd game or 4th game they played at that particular stadium behind closed doors as well. So this is something they'll be used to, and it'll be very different for us, especially for the folk who didn't play in that COVID season, getting us the Euros against behind closed doors. But it might be a completely new experience for a lot of our guys.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to make as well. And like you say, obviously with how good the Scotland fans have been, we've seen it last night yet again. Sometimes it's a very cliche thing to say, but sometimes the Tartan Army are definitely the 12th man in that regard. Of course, as we've sort of alluded to, the fact that Belarus are hopefully, like I say, on paper anyways, a lesser opponent, hopefully that plays in our favour, but it will be different for a lot of the players. And we know fans, especially after last night, I'm not too sure how that's going to go myself, but you can only hope that with it being behind closed doors, it's maybe then reduced to who has the better team, and who's got more quality. So hopefully that plays in our favour.
Yeah, I mean that's how it should work.
Yeah,
right. It should work like that. You take the fans out, you take the atmosphere out, and it comes down more to who's the better team. And there's no doubt we're the better team of the two. I think honestly. I mean, I think it's a good point, Craig, and I think it's true that they will be more used to playing behind closed doors. Having said that, most of our guys, not all, I suppose, but most of them are pretty experienced. If you think through the team, Hanley, Suter's quite experienced now as well. Robertson, and then obviously, McGinn, McTominay, etc. They're, Christie, they're pretty, and I know you might play Ben Gannon Doak instead of Christie, but I mean, fundamentally the team's pretty experienced, and so I think they ought to be okay at it. Really,
I think so.
One thing I like doing when we're playing a team, if I don't know them that well, is have a look at where their team are playing, what teams are playing for. And it's quite often when I'm sitting in the stadium, I'm looking at their team and I'm going, oh, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, we're in big trouble here. But the good news is there's not many teams I recognise in this. A couple of them played for what was the lot that Kairat Almaty that beat Celtic.
Right.
Players there. One for Sofia. But other than that, really, the one playing for Porto B, there's not many teams that I even recognise there. A couple of kids, actually, that come off the bench playing for Dynamo Minsk. I'm just wondering if you might start them. There were 3 young guys, and 2 of them were uncapped, and he brought them on. I think, after the defeat the other day, I wonder if he might just give them a run. But unfortunately, I don't know much more than that about them. Plus, who knows what this guy's going to do? He looks like a loose cannon. Before he was manager here, he was a manager of the Rwandan national team and didn't have a great record there either. So don't think we've got much to worry about.
This is all sounding promising, but it's the age-old Scotland trap, isn't it? So we don't want to fall into it too much.
Yeah, and also we have to be, we have to realise that they're probably going to try really hard. Right, because that you'd expect some reaction. I don't suppose they're pleased to lose 5-1 to Greece.
No.
Right, even though Greece are good, right, and so I assume, and it sounds. I mean, I don't know about their manager, Craig, but from what you're saying, if he's a character, I expect that he's doing whatever his tricks are of getting them all motivated and so on, right? So I am, we have to be ready for them coming at us and getting some reaction. So I mean, I think especially the first half hour or whatever is going to be really important, like so often. But we've really got to not be overconfident. We've got to dig in if need be, the same as we did last night. Make sure that we don't give a stupid goal away, and even if there's no fans, just that just gives them optimism and confidence.
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely don't want to be too confident going into it, because mistakes can creep in, and that reliance on the confidence sometimes it can come back to bite you. So I definitely agree. We need to respect Belarus, but as we've said so many times, hopefully, looking on paper, it seems like we should be able to get a result there, and then we go into the next international break, feeling quite good about the chances. So,
well, it's about time for me to eat some more humble pie. I was saying to someone the other day, I bet Clark set them a target of getting 4 points from the first 2 games, and I was saying, how are we going to get that? But it's a possibility. So maybe. What are your predictions, guys? Do you think we can get the 3 points on Monday night?
I think I definitely, Dave, want to say as well, very good point you made with these fixtures being low scoring between Scotland and Denmark. You called that very well. I was a bit more, I said, 4 goals would go in. So I think I'm going to reduce that for the Belarus game. I think maybe a 2-0 Scotland win I am hopeful for. 2 clean sheets I think would be exceptional, but I think 2-0 Scotland win on Monday night. What are you thinking, Craig?
I think I'm right. I think you're right. I think I would like to see a goal each half. I think 2-0, get the 2 goals and just play the game out. Which is actually, if I've got one criticism, last night was something we didn't do. The last couple of minutes when we got into the injury time, we gave the ball away too quickly. Gunn would just boot it up the park, sometimes straight to Schmeichel. I think he did that twice in the last 5 minutes, and then it just gave them time to build. I'd like to see us just keep the ball away a bit more and just play out the game. Especially with 1 minute to go, it's not that difficult to do.
Yeah.
So that's exactly right, Craig. I mean, there was that bit right at the end where, honestly, Denmark were pressing then. They looked by far the more likely to score. And Gunn got the ball, and he basically just kicked it back to them. And we really shouldn't said, come, have another go. Right, and we really shouldn't have done that. We need to get smarter at that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think on the score, I'm with both of you, and I think we'll win. And 2-0 is the obvious scoreline to go for, and that's kind of what I think as well. I think we'll win. Maybe only by a goal, but probably we'll win by 2 goals, probably 2-0.
Amazing. Well, is this the first for the pod? All of us predicting the same scoreline. I think it might be.
Yeah, it might be.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, and then the other thing to be interested in, of course, is the Greece Denmark game.
Yeah,
of course.
Because I suppose I think we'd like a draw there.
Yeah.
In that game, if you think about it, And that'll be interesting. I mean, it's also interesting if Greece win, which I don't think we want, but if Greece win, then Denmark suddenly are toiling a wee bit. They've played 2 games. Yeah, they're against the 2 strongest team, but they weren't 2 teams, but they've only got 1 point, and there's Greece on 6 points. And all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure on Denmark.
Yeah,
well, absolutely, because they'll have been, I think, earmarked 3 points for every home game.
Yeah, and they expected to win last night. Their fans said to us yesterday, they were absolutely clear about it. Just said we expected to win.
Yeah,
we knew Scotland are a good team. We don't think you're pushovers, but we expected to win.
Yeah.
Right, have we got anything else to add, or should we take a wee break?
The only thing to add is, while we've been talking, we got a wee WhatsApp from Hazel, who apparently not. So this story about meeting Swedes, right? I think you need to get Craig on the next podcast to talk about this. This story about meeting Swedes. It turns out she's having a wee bevy with Billy Gilmer and Lewis Ferguson somewhere. So,
no way.
Yeah, that's what she says. So I'm off. So I've got to meet some other people in a few minutes, but I'm off first of all to try and find where she is.
Yes,
if I can
definitely. Definitely. Well, let us know how
Craig,
it goes.
Yeah, Craig, make a note to ask her in the next one. All right.
I will. And if anyone's watching this on YouTube, check out our socials, because I'll be putting any photos on there if she's got any.
Exactly.
For sure. Okay, amazing, boys. Amazing. Let's do this.
That's
right.
it
We'll take a wee break then. Right. We're back in a minute.
Okay.
And that wraps up another episode of the No Scotland, No Party podcast. Another famous 0-0 win to add to the Scotland collection, like we celebrate so much. Craig, thank you again. Dave, enjoy the rest of your time in Copenhagen. We look forward to speaking again after the match on Monday night. Hopefully, as we said, we're all feeling a bit optimistic going into that. Thank you as always, and we'll be giving away another winner of the £20 ball bag gift voucher after the Belarus game, so make sure to stick around for that. Thank you so much again, boys. See you on Monday.
Easy.
Thank you. Yes. Cheers.
Awesome.
We know we ain't no football experts, but we all feel the same about the beautiful game. No Scotland, no party, podcast for the Tartan Army.